Department cracks down on unauthorized visas. New executives of PNGTA vow to address issues. And government to build enablers to support agriculture and SME.
This is National MTV News with Jeremy Mogi.
Welcome, this is Sunday's news. The government continues to lose revenue as the issue of fake visas cripple the efforts of PNG's Immigration and Citizenship Authority. An ongoing investigation indicates that 176 fake visas have been issued without authorization from immigrations, and this has resulted in over R1 million kina in revenue lost to the state. A media conference by the Immigrations Department held yesterday confirmed these fears. Annette Cora reports.
Following the recent call-out of fake visas by the Immigrations Minister, a media conference held yesterday shed light on the controversial subject of fake visas being issued without proper authorization by PNG Immigration and Citizenship Authority. This seen as a threat to PNG's national security, and internal investigation sanctioned by the minister has recently gained momentum and has seen too many immigration officers being implicated and a few arrested.
We are going to go down very hard on people who are practicing, corrupt deals within the department. So one of it is the first task that we're trying to do is to find out as to who's responsible for issuing the 176 visas. There were several arrests made, as you all are aware, but we don't want to leave anyone out. We want to make sure that everyone, directly or indirectly, was responsible for these 176 fake visas. We want everyone to be held accountable. Those fake visas, the 176 of them, where did they go? For what purpose? Is it a tourist? Or is it a permanent residence? What type of visas are these? So this is what we're trying to establish here.
Expressing disappointment that he had to cancel and recall operations earlier in the week, immigrations will not tolerate any ad hoc operations that will divert attention and dilute the intent of the current investigations, as this will interfere with potential suspects and jeopardize the investigations.
The main reason is because we have the internal investigation currently in place, and one of the TORs is that no other investigations or no other operations will take place until this investigation is done. You see, this investigation takes precedence over any other operations that will take place. So knowing that this investigation is current, some staff down the line so fit to allow that operation to take place. And after I learned of that, I gave instruction and said, stop.
While calling on all foreign investors in the country to respect PNG's immigration laws and processes, he made reference to concerns flagged on social media about the mistreatment of citizens, which resulted in the arrest of a Chinese woman by PNG ICA's Special Investigative Team headed by John Bria.
The government is losing a lot of revenue in those foreigners who are operating within the country but violating visa rules. So as long as I'm the minister, I will continue to fight this until we clean up a lot of these things, and then we make sure that every person or every foreigner that is living in the country or who is moving in and out of the country uses the right visas. There's an arrest on a Chinese national just around within the vicinity of Port Moresby at Loroki. There's a plywood company there mistreating Papua New Guineans, and also did not have the valid visa to work there.
While implementing directives and in the process of inspection, The special investigative team apprehended the Chinese supervisor who was found to be in breach of her visa conditions, violating visa rules and regulations. Arrested, charged and locked up at the Boroko police cells. Further investigations will continue on all serious allegations and mistreatment of PNG workers. Anit Kaura, National EMTV News.
Better prices is what the government hopes to facilitate for commodities in the country. Prime Minister James Marape says this time farmers will be compensated with better prices for their produce. Marape says the government is pushing with plans of building infrastructure to support farmers bring their produce to markets.
Speaking in Goroka recently, the Prime Minister announced the push to ensure farmers are compensated with better prices. PM Marape says price fluctuations has disputed the efforts and discouraged farmers. He says this time will be different.
What is the good price? Tell me the good price, and every district must have the good price. And if a buyer is buying a wrong price, the grower knows where to go. Hang on, my district is willing to pay you this price, and the growers has option to go to someone who's giving good price at the districts. 89 districts will become agents of agriculture nationwide.
The Prime Minister added on, stating enablers of better market strategy and functioning of sectors in the agricultural landscape has been minimal. He says despite huge investments in infrastructure over the past 10 years, much of the produce do not reach markets. The government wants to put more emphasis and build better roads, bridges and the introduction of freight subsidy among others to assist farmers.
People like safety road connections nationwide, making jetties, ports, pulling power line, pulling internet nationwide so that work, commerce, na SME, na agriculture, well, man meri stablo house line na place, em can easily grow. And we have a 10-year program for building road nationwide. It will take some time, but the commitment intention is there, and that is something we feel if in the next 10 years we open up our country with roads, power line, internet, ports and jetties and airstrips, then when we talk about our people in agriculture, where they are, including coffee, they will get into that work.
Agriculture Minister John Simon reiterated the need for accessibility. He says this is crucial to attract farmers, grow more cash crops to sell. He says the Marape Stephen government aims to realign the agriculture sector and support the economy.
Talk budget, they must stop. But actually, make him work, come up in Ogat. That is why we have a sector like this. But this government, under our Prime Minister's leadership, is serious to see that people correct him and put him go back on where it should be to drive economic independence to our beautiful nation.
Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
The newly elected National Management Committee and branch executives of the PNG Teachers Association is making a commitment to address outstanding issues affecting teachers nationwide. The election of new members conducted by the Electoral Commission is recognized by the Industrial Registrar. Newly elected President Aita Sanankepe says it is time to change to address the welfare of teachers.
The newly elected members of the National Management Committee consist of the National President, Vice President, National Treasurer and National Women's Representative. Provincial executives were also elected in an election conducted by the Electoral Commission. They are so teachers that they are now ready to address their issues.
To assure all the teachers in the country that the elections have completed, the NMCs have been elected there in now, and they already started their work, and they've carried out their work, and so on. So no teacher should be complaining, because after 15 or 16 years, we had a fair election that teachers who have elected and mandated your leaders to be in PNGTA, so that we carry out activities and duties that regarding your welfare. So,
according to the newly elected president, issues affecting teachers in the country have not been addressed for many years due to problems within PNGTA. These include teachers' leave fare, salary and teachers' appointment. And the Teaching Services Commission has not been working with PNGTA due to the election appeal. The president says it is time for change.
There's time for change. TSC is not cooperating with us at the moment because it's not recognizing us. They think that there's a case. There's no case. The election appeal process, 40 days expired already on the 19th of May. And there's no appeal against the election.
In an effort to address issues affecting teachers in the country, the president announced plans to decentralize the provincial branch. He says they will be assisting to raise funds to meet the needs in the provinces.
The treasurers, you need to open your branch accounts so that we will assist you, your seedlings, so that you need to raise the funds within your own branches so that you can assist the teachers when they have problems.
Vice President Sinel Kou further highlighted the need to have teachers' reports presented to PNGTA. He says this is to ensure each teacher's performance is monitored. He appealed to school inspectors to remain neutral and serve the interest of teachers and students.
You must remain neutral so that the interest of the job that you are holding and the interest of the teachers must be addressed properly and prudently. Only then we can talk about quality teaching. If we start dividing ourselves and go our own separate ways, there will be no quality teaching, there will be no quality learning.
Rayon Lakingu National, MTV News.
Now also, the newly elected president of the PNG Teachers Association has appealed to school inspectors not to manipulate teachers' appointment processes. He says teachers must be appointed based on merit and not through bribery. He also urged politicians not to interfere with the teachers' appointment processes. He made these statements in relation to a disgruntled party from the Highlands bloc allegedly conducting meetings without approval.
Don't entertain politicians to manipulate the system in the country. When we talk about quality education, that's the way to go. Rate them accordingly. Inspectors must not, teachers must not carry money around. Politicians must not manipulate the appointment system. These are the things that we need to work together. I'm here, that's why my 17,000 teachers, 17,000 come to you, standard people, inspectors, so that let's work together. Rating must be rated accordingly on merits, not to bribe people. On that one, if you are one of the politicians listening to this news then, please, I appeal to all governors, members, don't manipulate teachers in their appointments. Leave the teachers alone. Then you'll see. Let the standard officers inspect them. That inspection report must go to PEB, so the PEB must also get full information from the inspector and then make the appointment. So that you talk about quality education, it will come.
This is National MTV News. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Welcome back. One of Papua New Guinea's pioneer religious leaders, Reverend Sir Samson Loa, has been laid to rest in his home village Galilo in West New Britain province. Many turned up in numbers to witness the burial ceremony. Among the guests were Deputy Prime Minister David Stephen, West New Britain Governor Francis Maneke, and SOE Minister Sasindran Mutavel. Sir Samson was a school teacher before becoming a pastor who retired from active pastoral ministries and returned home. At the time of his passing, he was the longest-serving moderator in the history of the United Church. He served in the position for almost 14 years. Police in Kimbe have commenced investigations into the deaths of two youths allegedly shot by police in Laleki. Provincial Police Commander John Midi says this follows a protest by communities at Laleki. PPC Midi also mentioned that a team from East New Britain is assisting local police to maintain neutrality as suggested by the concerned community. Midi also urged eyewitnesses to assist with correct information to complete the investigation.
People must step forward. No time police come, no find him, help him, long witness, na, long go about him this line investigation into the future. So.
Moresby Northeast electorate in the National Capital District is mobilizing women to empower themselves through small to medium enterprises or SMEs. The district's SME division is working closely with communities to form groups or cooperative societies eager to take a bite of the 200 million Kina national government's SME funding. With this guidance and support, the community at ATS launched their Mixed Mothers SME group on Saturday.
Mothers danced for joy, showing their heartfelt appreciation to the CEO and officers of the Mosby Northeast Electorate for realizing their dreams. Speeches by women reps appreciated the effort by the district in giving hope to dreams and plans that were just mere neighborhood talks.
Who said you, Mama, you work a group, you are most welcome. Remember working this or something. Inoblo mi plata sol, emblo you may all get a marry inside the electorate.
We must all get a tap inside Lord. This is SME group. You who said you kissing this SME group. You looking blessing by you like Yemen now walk off with it. And me talk no God. You mean by stop one time this a member? Now by you me full one time this a member. And this a member for you me.
Member for Mosby North, John Cowper, while encouraging the mothers to be serious about establishing small businesses, said the district will provide guidance and support to see their application through to the banks.
This last SME, me like Rolling, we got guidelines for finance one block behind him. Procurement process one block behind him. So that we are guided. Also, before you are entitled to one SME, through the association, you registered with the IPA. Through a corporate body, you registered with Commerce Department, or through a mother's group, or through a woman's group, or chef's group. All mama you work him, all officers do him by screening. Now some you don't meet the requirement, but you ringing president, treasurer, now you by working paper again, so that you meet the requirement block district SME rollout.
Director Legal Administration SME from the Department of Commerce and Industry, Brian Wafi, applauds the initial steps taken by the district. He encourages other districts to formulate similar plans to assist and advise their people to utilize the 200 million Kina SME funding.
Commerce Department, National Government Department, by work one them, office, local member of you. No, but you accessing this 200 million too. Now this 200 million. And we talk finish. And next year, for the next 5 years, 1 billion. So you out of many people can this money. You skin die, you gaman, and you broke down the manogat. So you must work strong because government will stop on you. Thank you.
Shamin Poreambep, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Mosby Northeast MP John Cowper has vowed to stand behind the ATS community to stop the eviction of more than 1,000 families on portion 695. Speaking yesterday, Cowper said to not only fund half of the legal costs, but take the matter up to a national level, especially to seek clarification for underdeveloped private land. According to the settlers, the court-ordered eviction notice was issued on Tuesday. Adan Lavin and the settlers given 21 days to pack up and move out. Roadwork is underway at the Negri to Haneye Kimbole Road in the Numbu LLG of Yanguru Sausia district. Local MP Richard Maru, in his latest district visit, inspected the process on the road between Soli and the Niakam Dogum, where work is carried out in 3 phases. Once completed, the road network will link up both Numbo and East Yanguru LLGs, giving people road access into Yanguru Station. Since 2012, the District Development Authority has built and maintained over 120 kilometers of road network, including roads that fall under the responsibility of the East Sepik provincial government. The pathway into Yanguru Station will allow hundreds of locals to access health, banking and law and order services. Turning overseas, the United States has smashed its daily record for COVID-19 cases again. This time it has recorded 63,000 new cases.
It's an agonizing scene on replay in ICUs all across the country. Critically ill coronavirus patients straddling the line between life and death. States like Texas now facing their deadliest week. The governor has extended his disaster declaration in response. The toll predicted in hard-hit Hidalgo County.
The community overall has not taken this virus seriously. In short, the tsunami is here.
Dr. Gary Meny is facing down disaster in Port Arthur, east of Houston, where COVID patients have tripled and staff is overwhelmed.
Now we're seeing young people, 30s, 20s, 40s, 50s, 60s on up.
Texas was among the first states to reopen, and despite the explosion of cases, the governor says he's not planning to shut down again. The top official in Harris County sounding the alarm.
That if we don't do anything before schools reopen, we'll be opening the door to a huge fire. It's a forest fire. We don't know where it ends.
Houston Chronicle publishing an editorial saying Abbott didn't listen to coronavirus warnings and Texans died. Now a dire warning from the governor himself.
I think the numbers are going to look worse as we go into next week.
The numbers are worse in Florida, nearly another single-day high of more than 11,000 new cases, and more are testing positive. South Florida's Miami-Dade has seen a staggering daily positivity rate of 33%. Tonight, Arizona has emerged as the newest hotspot, leading the country in the number of new cases, more than 1 in 4 people testing positive.
When we return, we bring you this Sunday's A Closer Look. Welcome back. It has been the most captivating story to date in Papua New Guinea. The death of Jeneline Kennedy has polarized the nation, bringing to light serious debate on the direction of PNG society heading into the future. This is the first of a 3-part series on a closer look on domestic and gender-based violence in our communities.
The chorus of voices united for a single cause. In Port Moresby, a march. Across the nation, a unified and mounting stand. The Cry for Justice March. On the scale, it was to an extent unprecedented in recent times. Dressed in black, all walks of life pushing for change. Jeneline Kennedy had been a young mother, as far as is known, a 19-year-old, dead after her body couldn't receive the punishment inflicted on her after days of torture. She'd been bound, beaten, stabbed, and then left alone, lifeless. It has become the most polarizing story to date in Papua New Guinea's often tumultuous society. Jeneline Kennedy's death has shaken the nation to its core. Papua New Guineans have often told themselves that we are a peaceful people. Yet, the fact remains, we quicken to violence. This is a cultural trait. The nation is traditionally been made up of small clan and tribal societies, each one protective of its own. And each culture, mind you, is a collection of behaviors repeated over time that develop into a norm called tradition. That transcends into an overall behavioral trait, culture. This has brought up multiple unanswered and sometimes embarrassing questions. Did our culture create a young man capable of such a monstrous act? Was it the family environment that pushed him to commit it? Our society? Each facet has been openly debated across the board. A young woman also posting a photo on popular social media platform Facebook, held up on a small piece of cardboard. Although Thomas' words have taken a truth faced by women in PNG and until now has been denied openly. Her statement, PNG is not a safe place for women and girls, hit a mark. Denials have been outright. Comments after comments on various social media forums have been made, denying that the country is unsafe for the female population. Statistics say otherwise. Murders and rape in various parts of the country have been reported by EMTV and other media organizations in rising numbers over the years. And with the advent of media access, more stories are emerging on cases of violence within a domestic setting. Some have seen women burnt alive under the pretext of sorcery, others under the guise of infidelity. Psychologically, what would possess a person to do it? At Jenilan's Shine a Light Vigil, a passionate plea by another young woman speaking from her soul.
How many more of your sisters and nieces and daughters and granddaughters and aunties and mothers must die before we really say enough is enough?
It was titled How Many More? An epic piece of poetry delivered with emotion to a silent, weary audience.
Shall we go until my grave screams and rejects me? Is that when?
Renagi hitting point after point the frustrations and pain felt by so many around the country. It was a voice cutting through the dark, desperate void of PNG society. She questioned openly why Papua New Guinean culture justifies actions caused by men.
How many sons are we raising with lies about culture and religion? That these avenues validate the actions of inhumane human beings. Don't you dare say they behave like animals, because we know that even the most passionate and scariest of creatures only ever become aggressive for the safety of their pack.
And she spoke the truth with a conviction that hinted at oppression. And then, as so many are now doing, pushing for tighter laws and for help to be there when needed the most.
I just want to be a woman free from the fear of death in my own home. I just want to be a woman who can call upon law enforcement without hopelessness. I just want to be a woman, period. A human being. I would like very much to stay alive.
Her discourse was one of many presented on the night at the Shine a Light Vigil held for Jenilan Kennedy. It was the most powerful.
Trukai Sports is next. Fidelis Sukina will be back with the details.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Port Moresby home side, the NCDC Vipers, managed to find their footing yesterday, coming up winners against a determined Bintango Gorogalahani side. The opening match of the second round of the Intercity Cup competition saw the Vipers edge the Lahanis in a 2-point ball game. Here are the highlights.
Up in the air.
The game started off strong with some rattling defense. The home side Vipers took the lead with a penalty conversion early on in the match.
Went into the shoulder of the Lahanis forward. So
the Vipers scored first through a passage of play. Shane Nigel with a show and go.
Harrow now dummies and goes right through, and there you go.
The Vipers extended their lead 8-0 with a successful conversion by Ase Boas.
Ase Boas is successful, so 2 from 2 so far.
The second half saw the Vipers extend their lead. Quick hands on the short side, allowing Brendan Gatuno to dive over the try line.
And then good ball movements there, Thompson.
Extending their lead 12-0. The Lahanis had to score next, and they did, with Manu Soli fighting his way over for the team's first try.
The Vipers prevailed there, and in fact have scored.
A successful conversion by Nicky Hasu, closing the deficit to 6 points. The Vipers were clustered in defense, allowing an overlap on the short side. Lahanis Sefadite strolling over for a try.
This time therein.
But the Lahanis fell short of a draw with a missed conversion, ending the match 12 points to 10 in favor of the Vipers. For the Bintango Goroka Lahanis, it is their second loss. But for Coach Michael Moses, he says the team is playing catch-up football. They need to start putting more points on the board first.
We are having problems scoring tries, so our plays are okay. It's just that we need to run options and stuff like that. So I'm sure we'll work on that and just to, we did the same in Leh. We came back in the second half. I think probably we need to start focus and start picking up during the first 40 just to set the foundation. And then finally, second half, we will just put icing on the cake, stuff like that, just to, come back. And then probably the win will come automatic. That's all.
The Vipers managed to improve on their loss last weekend, but it was a scrappy win, with handling errors still dominant in their 2-point victory. Coach Leonard Tarum still expects more from the team.
We had full strength. We had 6 unders playing today, and that's why our expectations were high. But anyway, we had 2 injuries. Two of our key players, walked out. I think in the first 10 or 20 minutes, or the result actually, revealed how the boys went.
Control of the ball. And in the second match, the team from the Oil Palm Province, the Kimbe Cutters, cut open a new chapter yesterday, winning their first match of the 2020 season of the Intercity Cup. The Cutters managed to score 3 tries against the Wagitumbe, who only managed 1 try by Captain Joe Frank. The Sir John Guy's crowd were in anticipation for the clash between the Cutters and the Wagitumbe. And with just a minute into the match, the Kimbe Cutters showed their flair, with Benji Cott crossing over on the left edge.
The line here, the Cutters, and they've gone into draw first blood.
The failed conversion left the score at 4-0, but Cutters seemed to favor the left edge, with Cott again going over for his second try in similar fashion.
Goes in for his second.
This time, Yoka managed to ace the sideline conversion, extending their lead to 10-0.
He's got it.
Wagitumbe managed to score next, inspirational captain Joe Frank muscling his way over for the team's first try.
Frank on the outside, he should score.
The score remained 10-4 into half-time. The second half saw only 1 try by the Cutters, a bomb from Justin Yoka misjudged by Tumbe winger Daniel Tolley, Anthony Longa capitalizing for the Cutters.
And looks like it's going to be a fair try here to the Cutters.
The match ended with Cutters coming out winners 14 points to 4. Cutters coach Jesse Alunga said the team had to work on their defense, and with the help of new players in the team, capitalized with a win. Wagitumbe coach Joe McConnor admitted his team failed to play basic rugby league, with a lot of handling errors by the team. He added that the team needed to work extra hard on their next match.
I personally congratulate the Kimbe Cutters for they were more organized than our team. They executed their game plans, and I see we lagged behind with our defense and attack. We lost a lot of balls in the opponent territory. We did not complete our set of 6, so we've got a lot of work to do in our camp, and we'll come good next time we meet.
No caught by Tumbe.
And Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
And welcome back to Trukai Sports. The Warriors have a long list of questions for the referees after some controversial decisions were handed down during their 16-12 defeat to the Gold Coast Titans. Despite this, the team is taking responsibility for the loss and their failure to record back-to-back victories.
The opening 10 minutes of last night's clash had Warriors fans dreaming of another resounding win.
As Tuivasa-Sheck gets to the outside, glides over through Tavita. Harris Tavita on it goes. Ken Momalo is in now.
2 early tries had the Titans on the ropes, but by their own admission, the Warriors weren't strong enough to put the foot down.
I was very disappointed that I just thought we softened a little bit after a 12-0 start.
The referees and the bunker came under serious fire. The Warriors weren't awarded any penalties in the match. Jack Hetherington had a try disallowed, which became the talking point of the first half.
You're not knowing that the ball's not going to bounce up into his hands. It would have had he knocked it back, so I reckon that's play on.
Pundits slammed the decision, which the Warriors will question, but they didn't help themselves with mistakes at crucial times.
We most probably didn't put them to the sword as much as we should have in the first half.
The coaches were happy with an improvement, but frustrated at the inability to put the pressure on a Titans side who came up with 20 errors.
We lost the game on some big plays, which we should have made.
Learning to not only defend those errors, but firstly not make them in the first place.
Mistakes like these stacking up, leaving the Warriors wondering what might have been.
Canberra's premiership hopes are gone for this season. A massive blow with George Hodgson picking up a suspected ACL injury. The Raiders were beaten 2014 to Melbourne Storm last night.
Up the victory for the Storm. Earlier, the Broncos beat the Bulldogs 26-8 to break a 6-game losing streak, and Charlie Staines scored 4 tries on debut as Penrith thumped the Sharks 56-24. Essendon have stormed into the top 4. The Bombers recovered from a slow start to beat North Melbourne by 14 points. David Zaharakis kicked 3 goals for Essendon, who restricted North to just 4 goals in the final 3 quarters. The Bombers have now won 4 of their 5 games this season. Earlier, the Melbourne Demons won their second game of the year, beating Gold Coast 80-63. Isaac Rankin was stunning on debut for the Suns with 3 goals, but a late flurry of majors, including Harley Bennell's first goal in 3 years, secured the win. And the Adelaide Crows remain winless after going down to West Coast 67-34.
Some of the way we play, it's a little bit of a new role as well. So we're just trying to put all that together, and that's why we've said a few times over the last month or so that a lot of the stuff we're doing is a little bit of a change on what we've done in the past, and we're just going to stick at it, keep believing in it, and getting better at it.
Former Socceroos captain Mile Jedinak has announced his retirement from professional football. The former Central Coast, Crystal Palace and Aston Villa midfielder has not played since September 2018, but made the announcement to retire from playing this morning. The 35-year-old made 165 appearances for Palace and was instrumental in helping the club get promoted to the Premier League. Jedinak represented the Socceroos 79 times, featuring 3 World Cups, 2 as captain. Liverpool's 100% winning record at home this season has come to an end after they drew 1-1 with Burnley. The Reds can no longer beat the record for most wins in a season, but can still break Manchester City's points total record with victory in their 3 remaining games. City themselves easily beat Brighton 5-0. Socceroos goalkeeper Matt Ryan had a day to forget for the Seagulls as Raheem Sterling slammed home a hat-trick, and Sheffield United moved to 6th position after beating Chelsea 3-0. Lewis Hamilton has again dominated in wet conditions. The defending world champion excelled on a wet track to take pole position at the Styrian Grand Prix. Hamilton finished qualifying more than a second faster than Max Verstappen, who will start second on the grid. The Red Bull driver spun out as he tried to beat Hamilton's time. Carlos Sainz finished 3rd fastest. Aussie Dan Ricciardo will start the race from 8th position after recovering from a crash yesterday. And after a 3-year break, the Western Force have again taken to the field in a Super Rugby competition. Unfortunately for Force fans, despite a bright start, the side couldn't manage a fairy tale comeback. The Force, who were kicked out of the competition in 2017 but have returned for the Australian version of Super Rugby due to the coronavirus pandemic, looked the better side early against the Waratahs and led 14-0. But the Tars went up a gear in the second half, scoring 23 unanswered points in just 22 minutes. Angus Bell and Tom Staniforth scored tries in the Waratahs' first win of the restructured Super Rugby AU season.
And to netball in New Zealand, Canterbury-based Tactics will take on Northern Mystics in the ANZ Netball Premiership encounter today. But after going down to the Mystics last weekend, the Southerners are desperate to prevail this time around.
If
there's one team Temalisi Whakahokato hates losing to, it's the Northern Mystics.
There's definitely that rivalry between us.
The born and bred Aucklander made the move south in 2017.
I do love it down here.
And bragging rights are a top priority.
It's a team who I left to come down here, so it's definitely going to be a big game.
And with the age-old rugby rivalry between the two main centres at an all-time high, it's no different cross-code.
It's always a great rivalry when we play the Tactics.
Over the years it's been a really good contest and it's been sort of swung either way, so it is a real red and blue rivalry.
The Tactics hungrier than ever to stamp their mark after last week's narrow loss.
It's the thing, isn't it, for us Cantabrians?
And the stakes are high. The Southerners also play on Monday, so could move ahead of the Mystics on the premiership ladder if they win both games.
It's a game we're definitely targeting because we don't want them getting any further ahead on the table.
But standing in their way is 6'1" Mystics captain Phoenix Karaka, who's backing her side to make it 2 wins from 2.
I think we've got the confidence and the game plan to actually bring it to them this weekend again.
And with both teams vying for their first premiership title.
And that story ends Trukai Sports. Weather forecast for the next 24 hours when we come back. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
Weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, Port Moresby fine to partly cloudy with evening drizzles expected. Daru and Kerma, a shower or 2. Alotau, partly cloudy with thundery showers at times. Popondetta, mostly fine weather, though partly cloudy and a high of 30. Over to the Momase region. In Ley, fine to partly cloudy weather. Madang, mostly fine to partly cloudy. Ruak, partly cloudy with some showers. Vanimo, mostly fine, partly cloudy, a high of 31. Across to the New Guinea Islands in Lorengau, fine to partly cloudy. Kavieng, mostly fine. Kokopo and Rabaul, the same, mostly fine weather expected. Kimbe, fine to partly sunny. Buka, partly sunny and fine with a high of 30 degrees. And finally, in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, partly cloudy with a few showers. Goroka and Kundiawa, mostly fine to partly cloudy. Mendi and Wabeg, a thundery shower, then fine.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that's the news, sport and weather for tonight, Sunday, the 12th of July, 2020. From all of us here at EMTV, pleasant viewing. Bye for now.